Hey, welcome to this video. Thank you so much for tuning in and sharing this now moment with myself and with one another. If you haven't seen these videos before, welcome back if you have. Playing with my microphone there. I just want to talk a little bit about a dream that I had a few weeks ago, and it's starting to kind of make sense to me now. The question that had come through recently, and I was just writing a lot in my journal, that's kind of coming through from the collective is, what can we do? So first, I just want to back up and say, you guys, we're going through a mass consciousness awakening all at once. This concept that we'd be waking up in layers is true, but let's just think of this as a giant bowl of soup, and all of the ingredients are being mixed in right now. And some of us are looking around like, how did that get in my bowl of soup? I didn't put that in there. And essentially, we're kind of in this big melting pot right now. It's a crossroads, so to speak. If you've ever seen a crossroads when you whitewater raft, like of water, and it's frothing and mixing and it's fighting each other, but then eventually it all mixes in. We've got so much going on. The ripple effect is massive. So that's it. So while we're going through this mass consciousness awakening, we're going to have ascension symptoms. It's no different than the game we played about this a month ago and the month before that, in that way. So some of us are still going through these ascension symptoms, which can be a whole myriad of things. So if you haven't watched my video on ascension symptoms, I have that somewhere in the mix. You can probably search for it. But a lot of the symptoms that we have when we're going through this awakening, especially if you don't know what they are, feel weird. And so I'm getting a lot of people that I'm talking with that they think they're sick. They're not sure if they have the flu. They're not sure if they have the coronavirus. And it's this massive awakening. And as we go through this, we might get dizzy. We might have fatigue. We might be having heart palpitations. We might feel like we're having trouble breathing. Because that's what's going on in our bodies, because our body is shifting from carbon-based to crystalline frequency. So that's just in a nutshell. Those physical symptoms that many of us are feeling, that's what they are. But you tack on the extra spice of what's going on in the collective and what's going on with the coronavirus, and that creates even more of a feeling around these feelings. So while we're experiencing these symptoms, while we're going through these things, it can create feelings of fear, anxiousness, heart palpitations, not feeling like we're grounded, feeling like we're floating away, on and on and on, which I'm not going to get into, because if you have never heard about ascension symptoms, I highly encourage you just to check them out. A lot of way showers have talked about them. So on top of that, we're expanding as a consciousness. We're waking up. Our extrasensory abilities are coming online. So if we're picking up on the vibrations of others even more than we used to, and now the vibrations of others are at an 11, making a reference to Spinal Tap, they're at a heightened sense of fear, anger, frustration, lack of control. That can then heighten our own sense of fear, anger, frustration, not knowing what's going on. Does that make sense? So it's compounding the situation. So be aware of that. I just wanted to kind of pop on and make sure that everybody remembers that, because sometimes we forget that we're evolving, if you want to call it that, expanding, if you want to call it that. At this point, I'm kind of over this whole nitpicking what exactly everything is in the name for it all, because that's not really relevant right now. What is relevant is, what can I do about it in this now moment? And other than doing the things I've suggested in previous videos in my car, maybe 3 videos ago, about quick, easy ways to stay in 5D. You can check that out if you feel guided. Breathing, grounding, anchoring, affirmations, and all of that. The biggest question is, if this is happening around us and we're having this mass consciousness shift, more importantly is, what can I do? And we can only do what we can do. We cannot necessarily, from one perspective, in a multidimensional perspective, control what's going on around us and how other people are reacting. We can, however, control how we respond. And if we are all responding with intent of heartfelt collaboration, integrating frequencies, and allowing ourselves to feel the emotions that are coming up, and to be okay with those emotions, to integrate them, digest them, which I always talk about, then that will help us to stabilize our field, and then in essence, do what we feel maybe we came here to do, which is to assist other light workers in stabilizing their fields. But we cannot do that unless we are stable in ourselves, in our own sovereignty. And that leads me on to saying also, there are many things that are bubbling up in the, let me go backwards just for a moment too. The other thing that we can do is not feed into the mapping system. So I had a dream a week ago with Magenta I. If you guys haven't watched her videos, I highly recommend them. She's an amazing teacher and light worker. And I dreamed that I was hanging out with Magenta and she was asking me a lot of questions. And I was basically at her apartment. And this is very symbolic, by the way, it's not about. And I was being taught some things and I was teaching her some things, because that's what we all do. We all teach one another beyond the layers. There is no only learning from one particular energy or in a one particular way anymore. We're all helping and teaching one another. We're all masters embodied, so to speak. But of course, I look up to Magenta as being one of those teachers who was a way shower way back, so to speak. And so she had a map out. And in this map, she was drawing on it. And there were things that were written on it that had never been, that weren't there before. She added them to the map. And she said, we're making a map. They're making a map too. And at the time, I didn't understand it. When I woke up, I understood it in dream time. The reason I'm sharing this with you guys is the message that's been coming through a lot to me is that we are the map makers, we are the grid makers, we are the way showers. And we have to recognize, well, we don't have to, but we're being invited to recognize that the mapping system is going on all of the time around us. And what we feed into creates a map. So I've talked about this before, but I'm going to touch on this briefly. Our brain creates a map. We have certain habit patterns that we've done because we've created a habit, which is creating a map. We could call it, we've dropped a pin in that place on our maps. And now because we've dropped a pin on that place, we now walk that same path every day to get our cup of coffee, to go and sit and read the paper. Those are habits. They're trails that we've created in our fields. And those trails have been read by, let's just say, energy, okay, or beings. And that is a perfect example of advertising. Advertisers know how to map our system. Hence, that is why during certain programs, there are certain commercials that appeal. I was watching a show the other day, and it was really funny because I recognized it. I was watching Ancient Aliens. Great show, by the way. It's a lot of fun. So I'm watching Ancient Aliens, and on the commercial for whatever sugary-filled soft drink that's something I would never drink was on there. And of course, the commercial was aliens drinking this soft drink. And I said to my husband, that's just brilliant. The fact that they're catering to my tastes, literally, and triggering my now thought process, attaching those two things together. And this is what I mean by mapping system. And you guys, this is a very multi-dimensional way of thinking of it. This is just one layer of the multi-dimensional mapping system that we're creating. So now that mapping system, I associated while watching that television show with that particular soft drink, which is not a soft drink, it's a hard drink because it's terrible on your body. Anyways, my point is, this is what we are doing by the conversations we are having, by the things we are clicking on the internet. It's an algorithm. We are creating an algorithm. Now, as light workers and starseeds, we want to create an algorithm that is meant from the rhythms of the heart, that is meant from bliss-filled rhythms, that is meant from the fifth dimension and higher, the higher echelons, so to speak, the higher selves that we are tapping into. We no longer wish to anchor into, to thread into, to map into the old mappings, outdated system. Yet, this is what many people are unknowingly doing by perpetuating, feeding into that network. I saw pictures, by the way, as I said that. I saw neck work, right? I saw clockwork orange. I saw, so it's very multidimensional. And of course, this feeds back into a network, an algorithm that essentially feeds back into whoever created this algorithm, so to speak, or this program, and says, feed more of this, do more of that, show more of. And we all know the typical story that if you watch the Weather Channel, when there's a hurricane going on, everybody's watching the Weather Channel. And that's where the ratings go up. And that's where they make up on their ratings, so to speak. So rest assured that the ratings are probably quite high for many things. This also includes viral videos. It doesn't just it's not just limited to the news and the media anymore. It is beyond that. It's conversations. It's also, it's everything. It's in everything. So I'm being guided to share this with you guys because one of the things, because back to the question is, what can we do? We can choose not to feed into that system. We know how we feel. We know that we're supposed to be, for many people, in self-quarantine, for example, for 14 days. We also recognize that there are many people who have already landed. We don't have to worry about our relatives and all of that. Or we can have conversations with our relatives. We don't have to watch the news or click on these particular mapping pins to pin into your field, to create density in your field in order to talk to the family to find out how they're doing. This is where I'm going with this. The other reason that I'm sharing this has to do with a convergence in major cities as well. Because if you have a group, a collective consciousness that's in a major city that is feeding into this particular pin point, it sucks that energy into that space and it creates I call the pig pen energy. Not the beautiful spiral, not the beautiful rose, not the beautiful heart toroidal spin. It creates a fragmented, split frequency pattern of many fragments that are feeding into a network, so to speak, of energy. And that energy could be fear, anger, lack of control, whatever we might want to call it. So this is a very multidimensional perspective, right? From my perspective, it's multidimensional. Some of you might be going, yeah, I know this already. So this is all energy feeding on this. So what we can do, what we have the control to do, is respond as a collective and recognize that we're all connected, which how could we not at this point? However, if we are all connected, then we are refusing to connect into an old control system, because that old control system is in the process of being unplugged, so to speak. And it's like that fire hose that gets unplugged and doesn't know where to go. It's like out of control, right? And it's looking for a source to plug into. I'm not going to be that source. Are you? Right? That's the question we can ask ourselves. Do I want to feed into this old system? Even if it's the system of old systems dying. Because there's a lot of anger that comes up from this in the truther community. It's a beautiful thing that things are being revealed or will be revealed soon, or that we believe that those things will be revealed soon. That is awesome. What can I do about that? I could pass along the word that truths are going to be revealed, but can I do it from such a way that isn't going to put somebody else in a state of complete panic and fear? Because I'm going back to my original statement about we're all going through many different things. It isn't just the coronavirus. It is layer after layer after layer, all converging and coming together. So we can honor our brothers and sisters where they are at on their journey, and we can uplift them by reminding them that there are things that are out of balance, that are being corrected and righted. But us reacting to them and feeding that with continued anger and frenzy does not fix the situation, nor does it give it more clarity, nor does it help or raise the vibration around the situation. What we can do as a collective is digest that information, feel anger, feel fear, feel whatever we need to feel, and recognize it to then digest that shadow aspect so that we can clear it and not control, not give control away to it. Because it's subtle, but it's a very fine line between believing in something and wanting the truth to come out and feeding more anger and fear into that something, because then it just mutates and that becomes part of the same bucket that stuff was in the first place. Does that make sense? So I've been using that as an example. What bucket do I want to sit in? I'd like to go swimming in the bucket that recognizes that this stuff is going on. I'm not necessarily saying sunshine and rainbows, but I recognize it from here, from a sovereign being in control of my emotions, or recognizing my emotions as signs, as a feedback system to share with me where I'm at as my own sovereign being. And I'm not saying, by the way, I might get cut off here, so apologies if I run out of room. You get the point. So hopefully. So we're being invited to take back our control, take back our sovereignty. And then I'm going to end on that note. Connect with the earth. Because as this goes out in a ripple, all these emotions, you guys, we're all connected. Everything is connected. As these emotions are felt, some of us, we are what I like to refer to as the shadow eaters. A lot of us that are healers and empaths, we feel it when somebody else is unable to recognize that they are a walking, what's that character from Tasmanian Devil, right? They're walking. And some of us have embodied this highest aspect of ourselves to the point that we can stabilize. And that's not going to affect us. And in doing that, we allow them to kind of get that much more stable, so to speak. And it's not our responsibility, by the way, to say, snap out of it. But we can certainly bring a certain form of compassion and calmness to that frequency, and to assist them in realizing that them spinning around in circles, creating a dust devil, creating a tornado that then creates a hurricane or a cyclone, isn't helping anybody, especially their family, especially their children, especially their friends, and especially their own body. So coming back into being the eye of the storm, I might be feeling these things as this information comes up, of whatever the information might be. Fill in the blanks. But ultimately, I want to know what's behind all of this. And behind all of this is pure source energy, where I create from. I want to get back to my own space of creating in sovereignty, love, and compassion and bliss. And I'm in the process of eating and integrating and digesting shadow. And then clarity happens, right? Then we come back into stabilizing our own toroidal spin. Rather than sucking in everybody else to our tornado, which is essentially putting us again back in that same bucket of lack of control, taking someone else's energy, so to speak. We're being invited to let it digest with compassion and love and forgiveness. Beyond that, I'll end, if I still have a few minutes here, I haven't run out of room yet, so I'll just take it to the end. Coming back to, so meditation, breath work, breathing in for 5 counts, breathing out for 5 counts. I'm gonna keep saying this in case you didn't watch my other video of ways to stay in 5D. Doing things that create a feeling of connectedness rather than ignoring it. So I'm being invited to talk about that mapping system again. That's also a map. If we ignore something, it's going to show up for us somewhere else on our path. If it's something that's inevitable that we need to digest, so to speak. So we're being invited to recognize that we can't ignore it anymore. We don't have to. We can recognize it, integrate it, and then move forward from there. So coming back to, again, doing things that make us feel good. And even if it's only for a minute, minute to minute to minute, there is no time, but that does add up. I'm hearing tick tock, tick tock. So I'm going to end on that note, and I'm going to do another video. I have a lot of posts I'm in the process of typing up for my blog. So for those of you who like activated writing in code, I will be sharing those tonight, tomorrow, the next day, as much as I can. I've been guided to just step up, step up, step up. So here I am, stepping up, sharing my own energy expression, right, in my own way. And we're all being invited to do that, whether it be dance, photography, plant medicine, working with animals, taking your dog for a run, cooking something beautiful for your family, planting that garden that you've wanted to plant for a while, whatever it might be, doing things that make you feel more in touch with all of the energy that we're all connecting into, behind the energy, the truth frequency. Not the 4D truth, not the 3D truth. Beyond that, our multidimensionality in coherence and love and bliss. Namaste.